it's your girl Jasmine Travels, and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be part 2 of our 3-part series, and today we're going to be talking about how to become an Auxiliar de Conversación if you so desire. Okay, I'm going to tell you the things you need to qualify, information about the program, like money, how many hours you work per week, etc, etc, and then I'll tell you about the process I went through to apply to officially become an Aux, as we referred to in the last video. First of all, if you're watching this video and you haven't seen part 1, then you should watch part 1, because that actually explains what an Aux is. So I'll give you a moment. Go ahead. I won't, no spoilers, just go. It's fine. So now, information about the Aux program. The program differs depending on if you go to Spain through a program or if you apply directly to the Ministry of Education yourself. So I'm going to give you guys my experience, because I can only give you my experience because I don't really know about everything else besides what I read online. So first off, let me say there is a lot of information online for this program. So if you wanted to do some searching and reading, you could definitely find it by typing in Auxiliar de Conversación in Spain or a variation of that, and you'll come up with so much information, which will pretty much be on the Ministry of Education's website. So basically, for work-wise, you will work 4 days a week, and you will work in between around 12 to 14 hours a week. Some I hear 16, but I think that's if you go through a certain program and depending on where you are, kind of thing. I usually work about 12 hours a week based on my schedules. Based on my last like 2 or 3 schedules, I work about 12 hours a week, maybe 13 or 14 occasionally, but 4 days a week. So I typically work Monday through Thursday, but depending on your school and when they need you, you might have that day off somewhere else. Like you might have it on Monday, or you could have it on Friday like me, and in some situations it might be like a Wednesday or something. It's really just depending on your school. I'm not sure if there's like a rule where it's supposed to be a Monday or a Friday, but like I said, just disclaimer, I haven't read everything. So then as an Aux, you get paid monthly by the Ministry of Education. So me being in the southern region of Spain, in Andalusia, I make 700 euros a month. But if you live in a place where the cost of living is higher, such as Madrid, then you'll make toward 1,000 euros a month, just so you can afford your lifestyle. Now, 700 euros a month, is that a good amount of money to make while living here? And I can say it's fine. You definitely don't make enough money to save, but you make enough money to pay all your bills and to live. So I have enough money to pay my rent, to pay bills, to pay for transportation, to buy food, and to occasionally go out for like drinks or stuff with friends. But do I have enough money to like put into a savings account to plan for this big trip? No, I don't, because at the end of the month, that 700 is probably gone, and I'm waiting for my next 700 from the next month. So you don't have money to save, but you have money to survive. But it's not like it's a bad thing, just something to keep in mind if you're gonna apply, because then you can know that you might wanna have a bit of a savings before you come here. Well, actually you need to have a savings when you come here, because you never know what will happen. You might need some extra cash. Your first paycheck may or may not come late, and depending on the situation with the school and everything, I know quite a few people had their first paychecks late this year because COVID delayed a lot of things. So if you wanted to apply, just make sure you have a little bit of a savings to support yourself, just in case. We're gonna move on to program eligibility, okay? So eligibility, they want you to have, this is from the Auxiliar de Conversación, the North American prefix, that's where I applied. So they want you to have a US or Canadian passport. Now, people who from other English-speaking countries, such as the UK, also come here, and I think they just apply differently than we do, because on the website that I see specifically, or the application that I see specifically, it says a US or Canadian passport. So not sure where the difference comes up, but it's there. So yes, have a US or Canadian passport. They want you to have earned a bachelor's degree. The subject typically doesn't matter. My bachelor's degree is in marine science. As you can hear, that has nothing to do with teaching or education or anything. They just want you to have a bachelor's degree. Now, I also think you're able to come if you're currently enrolled in a bachelor's degree program, or I think even like an associate's degree program, because I know that some students come here on like their study abroad year or like a gap year. I think that's allowed. I think it's just like you just have to prove that you're in school, probably showing just current transcripts or something like that. Now, with me already being out of school, I didn't have to show that. I just had to show them my degree, so I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's how it goes. More requirements: be a native English speaker, or I think you just have to be like a fluent English speaker. Like, I know someone here who came here from Puerto Rico, and of course in Puerto Rico they speak Spanish, but she also speaks English, and she got to be here as an Aux. Puerto Rico, they do have US passports, yes, but I'm just trying to give an example of you can have another native tongue and still do this program. You have to be aged in between, the website says 18 and 60. Yeah, it's a wide range. You can be like any age and do this. Just go for it, you know? And they say they want you to have a basic level of Spanish. Basically, that's just for like communication, and it does help you with filling out the application, but I can say you don't necessarily need it for the job, but you need it to just get around. Personally, I would say it is very helpful to have a basic level. My level of Spanish is very low, but I've improved since I've been here, and I can say if I would have been where I am now in the very beginning, it would have been a lot easier. I can say that. You don't have to speak Spanish, but it is very helpful to speak at least a little bit of Spanish. If you're selected and you're placed in a school, you get a coordinator, or like a bilingual coordinator, who's supposed to like speak with you and be the person that's supposed to be like your liaison when it comes to like having to get things done. And you don't speak Spanish very well, they're supposed to be the person that helps you do everything. But it's better to have a basic level on your own, because you still have to do things like go to the grocery store, speak to your landlord, figure out where to live and all that on your own. So they help, but it's nice to be able to do a little bit by yourself. And on the program eligibility, it also says to have a good physical health and good mental health. And the good physical health, I would say, is probably because you are going to be like moving around and doing a lot of active things while here. They do depend on walking a lot. This is just a walkable place. They do a lot of walking here. Unlike the US, I feel like you get in the car for everything in the US, and here it's a lot of walking. And then good mental health, because if it is your first time moving out of the country, it can have a toll on you. This can be very lonely at times, and it can be kind of hard to adjust to like making all new friends, being in a whole new environment, the culture shock. It can be a lot, so that's probably why they say good mental health as well. And lastly, they want you to have a clean background check, and that actually flows into our next portion, which is the application. So in the application, you can apply yourself through their Profex. That's what it's called, for the application. Or you can go through a company and they fill out the application for you based on the information that you give them. I went through a company because I had no idea what I was doing, and the application was completely in Spanish, and it was really hard to translate because I couldn't, for some reason, copy and paste everything, and it was just very strange. So, and I thought there was more to it than it really was. So I found a company that wasn't like too expensive. There are some companies that are really expensive, but I found like the cheapest of the bunch, to be honest. And they filled out the whole application for me. Looking back, I would have just made myself fill it out myself, because knowing what I know now, I could have gotten through it, but it was all really new. I didn't know anyone who did it. I didn't talk to anyone who's done it before. It was just me wanting to do it. So I didn't know what to expect. I knew that a visa process could be kind of tedious because I did it before with going to school in England. And if everything was going to be in Spanish, I knew I needed help. So that's why I went through a company personally. If you know someone who's done the program before, they could probably be a person to go to for help. I didn't have that, so I went through a company. So my company is really great. They still keep in contact with me now, even though I'm already in and everything, and I have no problems with them. Like, they're really great. So if you wanted to go through a company, I could suggest mine. Mine was called RVF International. They're not too expensive. I also went through a company because I wanted to do cultural immersion programs where they're supposed to all meet and do some things together in Madrid. But since COVID happened, that portion kind of got shut down, and we didn't get to do that. So I'm not sure if they're going to be able to like reboot that later for like a future experience or something. But that's part of the reason why I went through the company, is because I wanted to do the cultural immersion programs with people who were doing the same thing as me. So, but it kind of got messed up because of COVID, so I didn't get to do that portion. But yeah, they help you with the application, and there's also some other benefits like the cultural immersion activities that you get to do. With that being said, I can't give too many details on the Perfect application itself, but I do know a lot of things that are involved, and it just wants you to fill out your basic information like any application. But within this application, they do also ask you questions about where you want to be located. So you get to pick 3 places that you would want to be, and then depending on how early you put in your application and where you pick, you might get placed where you want to be. I know for my situation, COVID kind of changed it a bit once again, but you can still get placed where you want to be. So I picked 3 places, and originally I did get placed in my second choice, my top, like out of 3, I got my second choice. And actually in the end, I ended up being switched because the location that I got placed wasn't accepting any more people because of COVID. They didn't want more people coming in. So I ended up getting placed in Andalusia, which wasn't on my top 3 at all. But it's okay because I still got put in the city, in Sevilla, which was very nice. So I wasn't really upset about it. I was a little upset at first because my school is quite a distance from the city itself. My bus ride is an hour, but being able to live in the city was a big deal for me because I wanted to be able to meet other Auxes and be with people who were in the same position as me, instead of living in a very small town. This is my choice to stay this far from the school. For me, it was the best choice. You pick your top 3 places, and earlier you submit your application, the better chance you have of getting that. And then if you want to apply with someone, it's best to apply together, put your names on each other's application and let them know that you're trying to be together. And usually I've heard only good things about people who do that and want to be placed with other people because they tend to try to keep people who do that together. So keep that in mind. You can apply with someone else and be placed together, most likely. After you do your information and select where you want to go, you also just have to have your other components a part of your application, such as your letter of recommendation. I ended up getting it from a mentor from my previous university. You can just use that, but an actual like letter of recommendation with like a letterhead. Like, I went to Savannah State University, so the letter of recommendation he wrote had to be on the Savannah State University, like letterhead, like official letter of recommendation. But also on their website, if you go to their website, they do include instructions for how they want everything, the letter of recommendation guidelines, application guidelines. There's guides to go through all of this so you can complete the application by yourself. The application is free, it's free of charge, so if you just want to apply to see if you get in, and it's free, so you're not losing anything if you're considering it. And if you don't get selected, you didn't lose anything because it was free. You have to include, like I said, I included my degree, a scanned copy of my degree. And if you're still in school, like I said, a copy of your transcripts. You have to also have a signed and dated letter of purpose, which is kind of just like a little purpose statement that you would include with like any other application if they requested it. And yeah, just with that, just kind of letting them know what you want to do. Like I said, there's guidelines for all of this on their website, and then there's like a checklist that comes on their website too. You have to like check off all the things and then sign it, date it, and like include that with your application. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about the application. Now, once you do the application, and then once you have all of those things and you submit it and you know everything's legit, there's a chance, and there's like a good chance that you be accepted, then you can go ahead and start going into your visa stuff. So I went ahead and started doing my visa stuff before I even got the full acceptance letter, because like I said, I was with a program, I was with RBF, and they told me to go ahead and get that started because they knew it was going to take a long time, especially with COVID. I went ahead and got started. I know some people waited till here that they got accepted first, but a lot of us ended up coming here late this year because of COVID, which was okay because they understood it was COVID's fault, but they sent out the acceptance letters a little bit late this year. So if you know you're going to get accepted, like you know you have all your stuff and like your application's like top notch and you know you just qualify, then I would just say go ahead and get started with your application stuff, because there's a lot of mailing of things back and forth and stuff takes time. But you do have to get an actual background check yourself. I had to go and get fingerprinted and get like a background check mailed to me. Then I had to mail it off to go get translated and then mailed back to me again. And then I had to do this for 2 countries because I lived in England for over 6 months. So, and it was within the year. So I had to go get my USA background check and I had to get a UK background check to prove that I didn't do any criminal activities in either of these countries. And it was so tedious, it was so hectic. So it was a good thing I started early. Then you have to go to the doctor and have them prove that you aren't like in bad health and you're in good physical health. You don't have like any crazy diseases like, I don't know, Lyme disease or something. And if you do, you have to just get it sorted out before you go so the doctor can sign off on the paper. The visa application is honestly just a tedious thing. You just have to like to mail a lot of stuff in. They send you documents you have to sign and mail back, and you have to do stuff online to pay for your visa. It's just typical visa things. And you also have to get a couple of copies of a passport photo, not for your passport but for the visa that goes in your passport. So quite a lot of things that you have to gather together. It does take time, and it's just best to get that started early, especially because everything that you get, you have to get translated. And if you get it translated, you have to get it translated by an official translator. So all this stuff takes time to mail to you so you can have everything together so you can mail it all off to get your visa. Or not even mail it off. I had to mail it because of COVID, but I'm sure soon enough they'll be doing these in person again. So to go in person and to give them all of your documents so they can fill out your application for your visa. So you have application for the program and then application for the visa. It is a little bit different with every country. Every country has different visa requirements. This one was a bit more tedious for me than the one in the UK. But once you make it past all of that, you get to be an Aux, you get to be in the program, you get to be selected. And when you get selected, that is when you find out where in Spain you will be based off of your top 3 picks or wherever they most need you, depending on when you finish that application. And like I said, it's best to do the application early as possible and then just start with the visa. Don't fill out the application thinking like, oh, I can't apply right now because I'm not ready to do the visa stuff. Do the application first and then worry about the visa stuff. As far as how to become an Auxiliar de Conversación, I think this covers it. So yeah, once you get past all of that, you get granted with your visa, you know where you're going to be working, and you fly out, move to Spain, pack light. You don't need all that stuff. And that's all I have to say about it. So that was part 2 of our 3-part series. If I missed anything or you have some more questions that I didn't get to, please just comment them below. I'm kind of just like talking freely. Check out the website if you're really interested, and they have literally all the information listed there, all of it. Like if you look on Google Chrome, because if the page shows up in Spanish for you, if you use Google Chrome has a translate option. It literally translates the whole page. And tune in next time for a little bit more of a personal touch on what it's like to be an Auxiliar de Conversación. So I'll see you next time. Bye.